I've been to Beijing myself, I think 3 or 4 times, again as recently as last week. And I can tell you that last week was a very eventful one, just being there at the time. It happened to coincide with the well-publicized protests along the torch relay in London, here in Paris, San Francisco, and then in Buenos Aires as well. So the atmosphere was quite lively, let's say, covering what was happening. And most striking of all, I would say, is that throughout the entire week of press conferences, media briefings, interviews that were going on, with the IOC, not one question, not a single question was ever raised about the sports events, about the venues, about the preparation or the readiness for the games themselves. Not a single one. And not even a single question about the air pollution in Beijing, which a few months ago was probably the headline issue for these games. The athletes worried about breathing the air there, and some top athletes suggested they may not run in marathons and all that. And that's still a major issue for Beijing. But anyway, those issues were not even raised once in the entire week I was there. It was all about the politics, about Tibet, about the torch relay, and it just really underlined how it's unrealistic it is to consider the Olympic Games, and these in particular, as separate from, as just a sporting event, because it involves so much more, and much more than that. What often happens, as anyone who lives in China knows, is that those newscasts are often blacked out. When I've been in China, first time I got there, I think I was in my hotel, turned on the TV, it was unpacking, and CNN was on. And there was a report about the Chinese president was happened to be visiting in London at the time on a state visit, and suddenly the TV went black because the commentator was raising the issue of Tibet or human rights or whatever at the time, and the censors just cut it off in the middle. So this happens regularly in China. I have to say though, last week I was kind of surprised to see that maybe that was relaxed a little bit, because there was a fair amount of footage of the protests along the torch route, which were being shown in the hotel, CNN or BBC coverage. So maybe because there were so many Olympic officials and world's media in town, that they relaxed that a bit. TV broadcasters have also had concerns. There was some suggestion that broadcasting live from Tiananmen Square might not be allowed. Obviously, some TV stations would like to use that venue as a perfect backdrop for their reports during the Olympics. Apparently, that issue may have been resolved and it will go ahead, but it's something that it could always crop up again. There were even questions in Beijing while I was there: will the TV feed be live? Will all the broadcasters have access to live footage from all the venues? Suggesting that perhaps censors would wait to delay the coverage in case of any incidents of protests. We've been assured that the feed will be live. But maybe the number that stands out the most is 30,000. And that's the number of actual journalists who will be there. That's 3 journalists for every athlete, 30,000.
Do you think that's enough?
That's just remarkable. Some people might not realize that of that number, I would say approximately 20,000 are accredited media. However, that leaves 10,000 unaccredited media, and that's a whole other issue. In fact, the Chinese organizers have set up an unaccredited media center, as have other Olympic host cities. Here's a little brochure outlining that. It's called the Beijing International Media Center. And again, those will be for journalists who are not accredited. That means they did not have access to the games, venues, but they will be in Beijing hoping to report on what's going on during the Olympics. They will have some press conference events at that center. They will have access to information flowing from the Olympics, but they're not directly involved in the events. But I'm not sure when China realized they were hosting a game, they would have yet another 10,000 unaccredited media coming on the doorstep. So this will raise another issue. People ask me, where, of all the Olympics you've been to, where has it been the most difficult in getting that? Well, I can think of one in particular. It's where the press had a lot of trouble. Info and technology and results system barely worked, creating chaos for many of us. The buses got lost. We didn't get to the venues. We got there late or not there at all. Even the athletes faced some of those challenges. There was a us against them mentality often between the organizers and the press. That was in 1996, and that host city was Atlanta, United States of America. So every city's different, every country's different, and these will be particularly interesting for all of us. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.